All right, today we're going to shrink way down to the microscopic level. We're going to talk about something that's on you, in you, and all around you right now, bacteria. And I promise, by the end of this, you're going to see these tiny little organisms, and probably yourself, in a totally new light.
So, let me start with a question that might sound a little out there. What if I told you that you aren't entirely, well, human? What if your body is a lot more crowded than you ever thought possible?
Well, get this. It's not a what if. It's a fact. Right now, living on and inside your body, there are at least as many bacterial cells as there are human cells. Yeah, you heard that right. That makes you, literally, a walking, talking ecosystem. For every single one of your cells, there's at least one bacterial buddy along for the ride.
So let's actually explore this world inside you. And just to be clear, we're not talking about a couple of stray germs here and there. Nope. We're talking about a massive, complex, and totally invisible community that you carry with you every single day.
You know, to really get the bacteria in us, you have to appreciate just how tough they are. These guys are the planet's ultimate survivors. They're some of the first life forms to ever exist on Earth. They live everywhere. I mean, from the soil and seawater to deep in the Earth's crust, even in radioactive waste. So when you think about that, it's not really a surprise they've made a very successful home out of us, too.
But that brings up a really big question, right? If we're covered in bacteria, why aren't we just sick all the time? And this gets right to the heart of our story. Are these things friends? Are they foes? Or is it a little of both? Let's figure it out.
First off, let's meet your resident flora. Honestly, these are the good guys. We're talking trillions of bacteria living peacefully in your gut and on your skin. And they're not just hanging out, they're active partners. They help you digest your food, and they form your first line of defense against more dangerous invaders. They're basically your own personal, microscopic security team.
And then you've got the other side, the pathogens. These are the troublemakers. It's actually a pretty small number of bacterial species that can make us sick, and they do it by producing nasty toxins, invading our tissues, or even tricking our own immune system into attacking itself.
So when you actually do get sick, how do doctors figure out which specific bacterium is the culprit? Well, this is where the microscopic detective work really begins.
One of the most important tools in the toolkit is a technique called gram staining. You can think of it like a first-level ID check for bacteria. By using some special dyes, scientists can sort almost all the bad guys into two big groups, and it's all based on how their cell walls are built.
Now, this simple color difference, blue or red, is a huge deal. Gram-positive bacteria stain blue. Gram-negative ones stain red. But it's not just for looks. See, the gram-negative bacteria have an extra outer membrane. It basically acts like a layer of armor, which makes them naturally harder to kill with certain antibiotics. This little test is absolutely crucial for picking the right medicine to fight an infection.
And the detective work doesn't stop there. Bacteria are also classified by their shape. You've got spheres, rods, and spirals, and even by whether they need oxygen to survive. Aerobes need it, anaerobes not so much. Every one of these details is another clue for scientists on how to fight them.
This brings us to what is basically a microscopic arms race. Bacteria have been fighting to survive for billions of years, and they've developed some unbelievably clever defenses to protect themselves, not just from our bodies, but from our medicines, too.
Let's look at their defense toolkit. We're talking about things like biofilms, protective capsules, super tough spores, and the big one we always hear about, antibiotic resistance. Let's zoom in on a couple of these superpowers.
Okay, first up is the biofilm. It's this brilliant strategy where bacteria team up and build a sticky, slimy fortress around their entire community. You know the plaque on your teeth? That's a perfect example. This shield makes it way harder for our immune cells and our antibiotics to get to the bacteria hiding inside.
Some bacteria take it even a step further. They've got a personal suit of armor called a capsule. This slippery outer layer is like a microscopic invisibility cloak. It helps them slip right past our immune cells, which are trying to capture and destroy them.
And all these incredible defenses lead us to what is, without a doubt, one of the biggest public health crises of our time: antibiotic resistance. This is what happens when bacteria evolve so much that our best weapons, our medicines, just stop working.
Just look at this timeline for the superbug MRSA. It's pretty sobering. In the 1940s, penicillin was a miracle drug. Almost right away, penicillin-resistant bacteria showed up. So in 1959, we roll out a new drug, methicillin. By 1961, just 2 years later, bacteria had already figured out how to resist that too. That's the incredible speed we're up against.
So how in the world does this happen so fast? Well, it's basically evolution on hyperspeed. It starts with just a few random bacteria that happen to have a resistance gene. Then, when we use an antibiotic, it wipes out all the vulnerable ones, but the tough ones, they survive. And then they multiply, and pretty soon the whole infection is made up of a super resistant strain.
And that really brings us to the most important point of all of this. It's this simple. The more we use antibiotics, the more chances we give bacteria to evolve and fight back. We are, in a way, training them to become stronger every time we use these drugs, especially when we don't need to.
And this is exactly why this matters to you personally. Antibiotics kill bacteria. That is all they do. They are completely useless against viruses, like the ones that cause the common cold or the flu. So if you take an antibiotic for a cold, it does nothing to help you get better, but it does help create the next generation of superbugs that could harm someone else later.
So all this leaves us with a huge question. Bacteria are ancient, they're tough, and they are masters of evolution. As they keep developing new defenses, our old strategies are starting to fail. The challenge for all of us, for scientists, for doctors, and for you and me, is how are we going to adapt? How will we change the fight in this never-ending battle?